patience, though. Thank you for your patience. Um, Thank you so much for that. And so I'm live now on Facebook. Let me turn off this very noisy AC. I'm over the AC. You guys know that it's all these things I have to do. All right. Welcome back to another Saturday. Happy Saturday. I hope you had an awesome and amazing week. Um, my week was very productive. Um, I was asked this week by someone, how do I do it? How do I work my 9 to 5 and I still manage to, actually, it was last twice, it was last week and this week. How do I manage to the people's brand and still manage to work in my 9 to 5? And the short answer is I have to be very organized. I have to plan. There's certain things I do at certain times. And so it is not easy, but it is worth it because then I get to share my wealth of knowledge, share my experiences, help you grow. And that alone is worth it. And it is also the reason I started the People's Brand. I started um, because of a need to serve, a need I saw um, where I am living here in on the island of St. Kitts and within the Caribbean. And so um, that is what keeps me going, that purpose, that need, that drive. All right, so today I thought I would speak about how to do hard things. And I called it that, how to do hard things. I was having a conversation and I want you to look for a wavelength video that's going to drop next week. And the advice coming out of that video, um, it was really born out of a conversation I was having the other morning with a friend of mine whom I worked with. I hired her, and she's doing amazing things. Um, and growing in her career and doing really well. And it stemmed from um, that talk stemmed from that idea. And this conversation that we're about to have stemmed from that conversation as well. Because I thought about, after that conversation, I thought about, wouldn't it be cool? How do you do hard things? I don't know where it popped up, but how do you do hard things? And so I thought about what has helped me, what has worked for me, what has worked for many other people, and I thought that I would share it. So, what do I mean about hard things? And when I say hard things, of course, I'm speaking in the context of, being an influential leader on your way to growing your career and so forth and so on. And so, what are some hard things that managers, you know, kind of go through on a daily or regular, not daily, but on a regular basis? What are some of the things? What are some of the hard things that you know we we do? And one of the hard things for new managers or managers on a whole is, let's start there, is giving feedback. Um, when as a leader, anyone, you have to give feedback to anyone. And in particular, if it's not good feedback, if it's something probably that person have done, you have to correct them or something like that. It could be hard. You could see it as hard. You could see it as difficult. Um, and so, how do you do that? How do you give somebody feedback, right? So that's a hard thing. Um, The second thing that came to mind that could be perceived as hard or difficult, and the reason why I'm using hard is, that is, it's very much in line with our dialect. right? We say, oh, this is hard instead of challenging and difficult. But you understand what I mean. This is hard. The next thing is listening to feedback, right? I was in a meeting this week where I was having a coaching moment with someone, and their leader was there. And the way in which they said certain things, you know, I had to wonder. I haven't spoken to the leader after the fact, but I couldn't help but wonder, how was she feeling? The person wasn't being disrespectful, like outrightly disrespectful, but the language could have been crafted in a different way. And but sometimes when you're a manager, you interact with, and I know this to be a huge fact, especially in HR, you're going to interact with people and many different persons at many different levels. And sometimes the language, the way in which people say things, the tone, um, the words, they could be really inflammatory. They could be really, you know, jarring. They could be really things that you're already upset that you have to manage this and deal with this thing. I'm holding my lights here. And that person saying and giving, saying whatever, it could be very hurtful. You could perceive it as hurtful, you could perceive it as disrespectful. But I've learned that, you have to extend grace. Everybody does not communicate on the same level. Everybody cannot be you. Some people don't know, have the words to say what they want to say. And so sometimes the tone and the language, it's just not, it doesn't come out right, and you take things personal, right? And so that's hard, listening to that and you know taking that personal. That's really hard, right? Or trying not to take it personal. That's sad. The other thing is, as hard, is setting boundaries. How do you, and this is a question that have come up, that have been asked, how do you manage your friends? Like, we're friends now, and so I get a promotion, and now I have to be a supervisor, now I have to be a manager. How do you deal with that? That's hard. How do you set boundaries? Because sometimes you're in positions that your friends are gonna cross. They still remember you as that person that, you know, used to, bash the boss, okay, or chat off the boss, the leader, as we say locally. They they're still, you're still that person that they remember doing things with, or covering for them. Maybe you were late or they were late, and you had to cover for them, whatever. There's so many levels to this. So how do you set boundaries? That's hard. How then do you now go back to that person and say, hey, um listen, I am in this position now. um I have a level of responsibility. I can't accept or allow. How do you set that boundary? How do you set boundaries? That is hard. And then the last thing I want to present to you that may be hard for you, that may be difficult, is you, yes, changing your attitude, changing your belief, changing your behavior around something, because you're not here by accident. You're here because you like the content. You're here because the advice given have worked. You're here because it makes sense to you. You're here because you want your career to grow. You want your career to grow. And so growth, changing is harder. Changing is hard. Doing, things that will support you on your way to being an influential leader, on a way to growing your career, is hard. How are you going to deal with that? How do you do hard things? And so it is from that space, I want to ask you 4 questions. 4 questions that these are questions that only you know the answer to, and those answers will help you um, and give you some direction in determining what to do, how to do hard things. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. So the first thing I want to ask you is, when you are presented with a seemingly hard thing that you perceive to be hard, is it really hard? Is it difficult? Is it challenging? Or is it uncomfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Because growth is uncomfortable. So is it really hard or is it uncomfortable? Is it something that you've never done before? Like me being on live stream, like the first time I came on live stream, which I was just terrified to be. It's getting a lot better now, right? Is it hard or is it uncomfortable? Sometimes we tend, when things are happening to us, when we are in the trenches, when you know, we're in the thick of things, when we're in the weeds, we can't really see well, we can't really judge well. We need to pause, take a step back, and figure stuff out. So, is it hard or is it uncomfortable? Ask yourself that question. The second thing I want to ask is, when you are trying to figure out that this thing is hard, that you have to do, is, do you have the support that you need? Do you have the support that you need? We are not an island. We cannot do it alone. Do you have the tools that you need to be your best self? Right? Do you have the training that you need? Do you have the resources? Do you have the right people on your team? Is your boss giving you that support? Are you asking him, her, for support? Do you have the support that you need to do that thing, that seemingly hard thing? Have you asked for help? I didn't even have that written down, but have you asked for help? If you're anything like me, I'm the type of person I like to figure things out. So I'm not going to ask for help first. I want to figure it out. I want to see if this is something I can do, where I can, I want to do it first and then ask the question after, right? So if you're anything like me, you, you don't really ask for help, and over time it becomes a thing which you have to ask for help, right? um highly independent, but sometimes we need to ask for help. Are you asking for help? Do you have the right support? This is the third one now. Do you have a vision? Actually, I said 4 things, no? It was really 3. Do you have your vision or purpose defined? And the reason why I ask this is that I really believe, and I have seen where people go into things that they don't understand or they haven't thought out. They don't know why they're doing it. The reasons why they're doing it, and when I say that, the reasons why they're doing it are very shallow. It's because somebody said, hey, this is a great idea. Even if somebody said it's a great idea, have you really thought about if this is something that you want for your life? Have you really thought about if this is a career that is going to advance you? I've seen a lot of people wanting to be a manager, wanting to be a leader for all the wrong reasons. It's not all fun and games. These are people, you will be leading others, you are entrusted with leading people, and it is just a serious thing. It is a wonderful thing, but it is a serious thing because it requires you to change. You cannot be an effective manager or leader or any human interaction that you have to do, a parent, a leader, a manager, call it. You have to change you. It's going to require a part of yourself that you have to change. So, do you have a vision for what you want, the type of leader that you want to be? Or did you just kind of like, okay, this is great, I have the skills, and you somehow got really lucky because maybe you've been at that organization for a long time, or maybe you said the right thing, or you positioned yourself well, or maybe it is that you work really hard for it, that's fine. But do you have a vision? Do you have a purpose? Do you know what your end goal is? And I'm not talking about necessarily do you know what you want to do 5 years from now, but do you have a purpose defined for you and your leadership? Do you know the type of leader that you want to be? That's important. And this is something that we do in my coaching program. It's in the first module, a leader's mindset. We craft a vision for you because you have to understand what type of leader you want to be. You have to understand how you need to show up. You have to understand those behaviors that are required for you to be the best at what you're doing. And it's not so much about how much you know in terms of the technical aspects of the job. Those things can be learned. It's about your soft skills, the people skills, your managerial skills. It's about self leadership. So, do you have a vision or your purpose defined? Do you know? So, that's it really. How do you do hard things? Well, you do hard things by asking yourself these three questions. Is it hard or is it uncomfortable? Right? Is it uncomfortable? Are you being pushed out of your comfort zone because it's a growing thing? Whenever you have to grow, whenever you have to do, we say, oh, it's hard. Is it hard or is it uncomfortable? Do you have the support that you need? Do you have the team, the right people on your team? Are you asking for help? Are you including your boss? Are you saying, listen, are you raising your hand? I need help. Lots of people don't do that. They feel that because they're in that particular role, um, that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Asking for help means that they're not very good at the job, or someone might be perceive them in a particular way, right? So do you have the support that you need? Do you have the tools, the training, the resources? Do you have that? And the last thing is, do you have your vision or purpose defined? All right. And so let me know if these helped you a little bit. I am curious to know. So drop something in the comments, or send me a DM, or send me a WhatsApp. Let me know how has this helped you. And I will talk to you. I will see you soon. I'll see you next week. But be sure to look out for that video, that wavelength video this week that I was talking to you about. Have a happy Saturday and have fun. Have some fun. Bye.